All right, we're back here on the Wednesday edition of the Chase Thomas podcast, where I'm now joined by a first timer. Yes, Sean Brennen is here. He's got the Supercross merch, the PR manager for Supercross, which is such a delight. And the season's back in full sway. Sean, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you for having me. It's good to be on your show for sure.
Thank you for being here. When are we getting a Washington State Supercross driver? When are we getting an Oklahoma racer? It seems like whenever each year I'm going through it, I'm like California, Florida. It's just a lot of the same kind of geographical regions just populate all the superstars in the sport. Why is that?
Well, actually, we do have a fair amount of athletes from Washington State.
Okay.
We also have a pretty good amount of athletes that train in Oklahoma.
Okay.
But Colt Nichols is originally from Oklahoma. Justin Bogle is originally from Oklahoma. So there's a great training facility in Oklahoma that a lot of guys still train at. But superstars, now there you go. Ryan Villapoto was the last one from Seattle.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to beat his records. But there are a few guys, that are about to and are already, on the heels of that. But, it's interesting, like other sports, especially football and baseball, most of the athletes are now in Southern California and really Central Florida, with a third being in Texas. And that's really because of the conditions where you can be on the bike and train 12 months out of the year. And especially in Florida with the humidity, that really helps the athletes prepare for the Pro Motocross Outdoor Series as well. So, it's really interesting because a lot of athletes now, they end up registering for the event under the city and state where they currently train. But it really is interesting, the depth and breadth of where a lot of these athletes come from. But I would still say that, yeah, for the most part, Southern California and Central Florida and Texas are still churning out the majority of our athletes for sure.
So there you go, fans. When you're watching on TV and you see all those Southern Cal, Central Florida hometowns and addresses, it might not be 100% accurate. It might just be where they train.
Yep, a good portion of it.
There you go. The most exciting part of Tampa over the weekend was what, Sean?
Oh man. Well, first of all, being in, that is our home race. So anytime that we're back here in Tampa, we love it. And I think, you probably heard Hunter Lawrence, mention, and in some of his interviews, it's like, I had to perform here because I had 30 of my neighbors that were all at the race and were going to be asking me about it the following day. And it's interesting because that's the same with all of us. There were several of my neighbors that were there, and you could probably, for everybody behind the scenes at Feld Motorsports and most of the athletes that called Tampa home, it was very similar. But, I'd have to say, it was great racing. First and foremost, Hunter Lawrence in the 250 class, bringing it in that last turn. Really, man, fantastic racing. But Hayden Deegan in that class as well. Hayden just debuted. This was his second pro race. And he's now, has earned 2 fourth places, which is really, really exciting. It's great for the sport. But my goodness, he is really, showing that he has the chops, he has the talent, he has the skills, and boy, he is going to be a threat, not only in that class right away, but for years to come as well. I think the surprising thing was Eli Tomac having an off day.
Yeah.
We heard a lot of, everybody always, after Eli, everybody has an off day. It's okay.
Mhm.
Eli is going to be just fine. But maybe it's the humidity. Maybe it was the sand. Who knows? But Eli is going to be absolutely fine. It was just an off day for him.
Mhm.
But the 450 class, my goodness, the field is just so deep now. There are so many guys that can win on any given day. It is amazing to see Cooper Webb finally back on that top step. And Aaron Plessinger, holy
Mhm.
cow. Good to see him earn the podium as well. Chase Sexton is a superstar. He is going to be just fine as well. He is going to learn from this. He's only 23 years old. He's
Mhm.
got a lot of racing still, but we're now 4 points between the top three. And
Mhm.
then Jason Anderson is not too far back in fourth as well. So to be where we are right now, at this level of the season, and for the points to be as tight as they are, that's exactly what you would want in a healthy series.
That's why Eli can't have an off day, because it's all tight at the top. He can't.
No, it really is. So, believe me, I know that, Eli was probably not happy with his results. The team was probably not happy, but, again, he'll be just fine. But yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that he would prefer having a little more of a cushion, because he knows the depth of talent that is going to be competing for the rest of the season. And we have a lot of races still left to go.
That was a 20 race gap for Cooper. Is that correct? But in between wins?
21.
21, yeah.
Yep, 21 races.
There you go. That's pretty wild.
That's a long time.
And it's a great
Uh,
story.
so I know that he was pretty excited to finally, get back there. I think that if he could have scripted, scripting is big in football right now, right?
Yes, that's
Live
true.
sports, being scripted. But if he was to script it, he certainly would have not have had a 21 race gap in his storyline.
Absolutely. Now I'm just imagining a gif of just him being shown the script for a 20 race gap and just what his reaction would be.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
He's
Hey,
like, "What did I
so
do? What did I
yeah,
do to get this? I don't understand why. Like, what's wrong here?" And then Eli's just grinning over in the corner, just having a good
yeah,
time. He's like, "This works for me. I don't know if this works for everybody else, but this script
yeah.
certainly works for me."
I'm gonna
Um,
win everything. Is everybody good with that?
yeah.
I like
Somebody's
the
gotta be the
script.
star. Somebody's gotta win.
Yeah,
Look,
somebody's got to be the star, right? Why not me?
it works. For a fan, why is seeing Supercross in person so much fun, do you think? Wait, if you had to pull and if you had to best articulate why it's so much more fun in person, why do you think it is?
Because it's so hard to capture what these athletes are doing
Mhm.
on television. And, we have over 30 cameras, spread around our track. We have microphones built into the dirt everywhere. And we try, our best. There's over 100 people that work on our television broadcast. Um, we have the finest tech, and
Mhm.
3 TV trucks, and producers and directors, and it's the same. I mean, it's NBC Sports, production. So
Mhm.
we spare no expense on the TV broadcast, but you just cannot capture what these athletes are doing on TV.
Mhm.
To really be able to see in person the energy, the intensity, these guys being, sometimes 2 and 3 racers, bar to bar deep, going over these jumps where they're flying 70 feet in the air,
Mhm.
3 stories high. I mean, think about that. When you're on the 100 level of a stadium, you are looking up at
Mhm.
these athletes. And even though we have cameras underneath, capture the bikes from underneath, capture, over top, you can't really, you miss that depth on
Mhm.
television, right?
Yeah.
Um, but to be able to see that entire field of 22 racers, where everybody is at 96, 97% maximum heart rate for 20 minutes plus one lap, and are literally doing anything and everything they can to find the fastest lines throughout that race. There is nothing. There is nothing like it. There just is
Mhm.
not another sport that is even close. And then you have 50,000 screaming fans.
Yeah.
And it's just, everybody has their favorite athlete. And, it's really, it's hard to follow because, sometimes even live, because there's 21 racers and you'll
Mhm.
hear, a section scream about something, whether it's good or bad,
Mhm.
and you're always like looking, whoa, did I miss something?
Yeah.
So it's very hard to, mimic that energy with any other sport.
Mhm.
There are moments in baseball games, there are moments in basketball games, in hockey and football, baseball. They all have the different moments, but when that gate drops on Supercross, it is 100 percent on
Yeah.
from the get-go, and it does not stop until that checkered flag is you know is raised. And I
Mhm.
think that's what really makes this sport just so unique and unlike any other. And no matter where you are in the stadium, and again, if we go back to our roots, Supercross was designed to be a stadium sport.
Yeah.
So when you go to a pro motocross event, those tracks can be 2.5 miles long. You
Mhm.
don't ever see the entire track and course and every athlete. It's just way too big.
Mhm.
But in a stadium, Supercross was built for that, built right
Mhm.
here in America. And I think a lot of people forget that, but it is as American as baseball and apple pie. And that's the very reason there is just so much action on that track at any given time that again, it's just hard to mimic anywhere else.
Can I give an old man answer as to one of the other pluses for folks?
Yep.
Not too loud. It's not too loud. Like, my ears and doing the pod and everything, like, I don't know if I'll ever go to another NASCAR, race. Like, it's just I can't do it. Like, my ears, I could wear all the protection in the world, but my ears are so sensitive, and I remember I went, my first Supercross show, because 'cause I'm from Atlanta originally,
Oh,
and y'all
nice.
were in the Dome, and that
Yep.
was just a cool I miss the Dome so much, and the Dome was just a really cool experience, and it was just an electric environment, but it was just souped up, and it was loud, but not too loud. It was cool, so it was enough to get the fan like, I'm a kid, I'm, like, 12, 13 years old, and I'm just fully encapsulated by it from start to finish because it's not as long, but it's just like you said, where the second they start, you're fit like, you don't lose your attention on anything. Like, you are locked in from the beginning to the end, and that's a rarity in other sports because other sports, they just go longer. Like, there are different heats in this,
Yes.
but the actual race itself, you are
Yes.
locked in from beginning to end, which is a unique aspect of it.
Yes, you are not going to grab a hot dog during the
No.
main event. You're not
No.
doing it.
No, and that's a unique part of it, and that's, I think, a big appeal, and that's one of the reasons, like, and I have so much to watch, like, it's awesome where I'm able to just like, "Hey, all right, main event, let's go." Like, I'm able to just set aside my time, and I'm like, "I wanna see how this goes." And it's a cool thing. The track that you think most racers love the most in the season, what do you think it is? What do you think they enjoy the most?
The one that the racers
Yeah, the
love the most?
racers, like, if you had to poll them right now, who do you think they would say more often than not is their
Oh
favorite track?
boy. Um, you know, each athlete has their own unique skill set. So of course they're
Mhm.
all going to tell you, the ones that that they
They
are.
win.
Yeah, where they win, right? That
Mhm.
they'll say that 100% of the time. What's
Yeah,
your favorite track? Ah, my last win. So if you ask
yeah.
Cooper,
I was gonna say
Tampa
he
will
loves
be by
Tampa.
far his best.
Mhm.
But no, there are different rounds and different stadiums, and I think that the racers like different venues for different reasons.
Mhm.
If you would ask anybody, active now, even going back to our legends like Ricky Carmichael, what round produces the best dirt, and
Mhm.
100% they would say St. Louis.
Yeah.
So We're not going to St. Louis this year, but by far, when it comes to dirt, there is something magical about that dirt in St.
Mhm.
Louis. So I think that a lot of racers would lean towards the Midwest.
Mhm.
So Indianapolis, even Nashville, the dirt is unique. Atlanta,
Mhm.
I know a lot of athletes really love that red clay.
Yeah.
Um, Daytona is always special just because it is such a unique event,
Hmm.
and that is more about the overall event and the layout in addition to the track. Anaheim, the Anaheim opener,
Mhm.
100% the energy, the anticipation that the Anaheim opener brings is, it really is our Daytona 500, if you will.
Hmm.
So I know that a lot of athletes would point towards that, which really isn't so much track, but overall just excitement in the history of that event. Um, but yeah, I would think that it really just depends on really where everybody is from
Mhm.
and what kind of dirt they are, more acclimated to. But I would say it probably has more to do with the dirt than it does, the actual track design, if you will.
Interesting. What makes the new stars of this generation stand out from previous stars? What do you think's different by and large with this group?
They're growing up in a whole different age of athletes that we're
Mhm.
seeing in all pro sports. That not only do they have the demands on the track and training and being a pro athlete competitively,
Mhm.
but it is 100% always on with the media
Yeah.
and with social media, and whether they are doing their own, and that could be everything from just posting on Instagram to having full-blown vlogs.
Mhm.
But it really is a 24/7, cameras are on you all the time,
Mhm.
and that's good and it's bad. um I think that the YouTube in particular, and this is across all sports and all
Mhm.
athletes, there is, just a segment of society that, comments are just, my goodness, it's
Yeah.
I can see why some entities leave the comments off.
Right.
If we could all go back to that old adage of now I'm going to sound like the old man here.
Here we go.
If you don't have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
But people will just rip, for the sake of saying, just, hearing their own voice,
Yeah. Well,
And
Eli
so,
had a bad day. They had to let him know. He had a bad day.
right, right.
Mhm.
And I think that that's probably the biggest thing on current athletes and athletes coming up
Yeah.
is that you really have to, adapt to that, be prepared for it, mentally be prepared for it, understand its place,
Mhm.
understand that that's not reality. Keep your team close, keep it tight, keep your circle tight, but positive reinforcement, all around. And I say that there's some of the negativity, but the positive side to that is that athletes have such a big microphone now
Mhm.
that whether it's you know additional sponsorships or with NIL, in college sports, like there is more opportunities now for athletes to spread their message and use their mediums and their platforms for positive
Mhm.
than there's ever been in this sport. But knowing that there is a negative side out there and that the light is always on, that's probably the biggest thing that these athletes have to contend with that we didn't even have 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, so it's changed very, very quick, and I'm sure that it's going to continue changing as well.
It's interesting you bring that up, and I think what's gonna be commonplace is just every athlete's gonna have some sort of mental coach or something like that, where mental health is just so critical, and like you said, they're always on 24/7, and it's just not realistic for any of these guys to be able to handle that, every day. Like,
No.
there's no shame in it, and I think it's important, to kinda prepare, and I mean, you can do the classes before they get in, but there's nothing like it once you're actually in the fishbowl. I mean, I had a
Yes.
high school coach on this past week, and he's talking about, like, having mental health coaches, and because high school kids are seeing it, like, you're 16, 17, and you have
Yes.
kids commenting. You have parents, like, yelling at you and commenting and stuff. It's like, these are 15,
Yes.
16-year-olds, but they're on social media, so
Yep.
they're open season for stuff like that, and, like, you have no idea what that kinda weight places on a 15, 16-year-old kid.
Right. These are
Yeah.
amateur athletes
Yeah.
that you're talking about. High school, that
Yep.
middle school, those are they're kids.
Yes.
They are kids. And it's interesting, we are talking about Hayden Deegan
Mhm.
a little bit ago. And he, I don't like using the term YouTube star, but he is a
Mhm.
YouTube star. He has over 1 million fans on YouTube, as well as, 1 million on his other channels.
Mhm.
And boy, he has been under that microphone, throughout his entire amateur career. And
Right.
I think that his parents have done a really, really great job of, educating him, being there for him, supporting him, putting him in positions of strength, putting him in positions of positivity,
Mhm.
and really gauging all of that. Because, in our sport, there hasn't been anybody that has been in a fishbowl like Hayden.
Mhm.
And I think with him going pro, these last two races, he could have taken a dive. Like, he could have
Mhm.
really come out and not had a positive showing. And I just cannot imagine what that would have been like, on social media.
Yeah.
But he came out and he showed, the world his talent, that he has earned every bit of this. And I think if you follow, the Deegan family, as well as Hayden's channel. I mean, he's a great kid. He's got a great
Mhm.
personality, and he's got a lot of really strong supporters behind him.
Mhm.
And I think that it was just, and even his team, Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing. I mean, there's nobody better as far as a support system, in his corner. So I'm thrilled that he, came out swinging. He came out and showed the world what he's capable of. Because I think that, if he didn't, which would not have been any kind of real reflection of his talent or a predictor of his future success, he could have just really had a difficult time with his first two races, right? But the way that the internet would have reacted to that, just would have been bad for all of us, to be honest.
100%. What's the next best thing coming to Supercross, do you think? When you forecast the next 10 to 20 years and how much the sport's already changed in the last 10, what do you think is the next big thing in Supercross?
Well, right now it's our Super Motocross World Championship.
Mm,
For the first time, in our 50-year sports, 50 years of Supercross and Pro Motocross, we are finally working together.
mm,
We've always felt like it is, one sport, two different disciplines, because the disciplines are very different.
mm,
Supercross is very tight, is very technical. The racing is really precise. Then you go outdoors and it's really, it's rugged and it's higher speeds and it's more finesse, with the
mm,
motorcycle and some of those things, as well as dealing with, the elements of weather that can
mm,
be anything from 95, hot and humid to, complete rain. So I think the most exciting thing right now is that we now have a 31 event series
mm,
that combines the indoor stadium season with the Pro Motocross outdoor season. And then for the first time in our sport ever, culminating in a playoff and a world championship and or a Super Bowl, if you will.
hmm,
So I think it's very hard for fans to envision what this is, really going to look like,
Mhm.
because nobody's lived through it yet. So
Mhm.
we really don't know. But the top 20 in combined points, Supercross, Pro Motocross, we automatically seeded into the playoffs.
Mm.
So every other sport, as soon as an athlete is injured, before they're even, hit the locker room, the fans are asking, my goodness, I hope they're ready for the playoffs. I hope they'll
Mhm.
be back for the playoffs. And, you know, unfortunately, we already have a few racers that have already, been injured this season. So, like an Austin Forkner, for example, started the season off strong. He got injured. He's out now, but he has, his championship with Supercross. Yes, he might not be, able to come back even within this season. But if he does, he's certainly out of championship contention. But his goal right now would be to get back to Supercross so he can continue to gain points in Supercross. And then, of course, those will be combined with the Pro Motocross points.
Mhm.
And, he certainly can still win the Pro Motocross Championship, but then he can also win the Super Motocross World Championship at the end. And then, of course, all of that comes with a very big payday as well.
Yeah.
So not only the bragging rights and the championship and all of that, but, we have a $10 million purse this year, which is the biggest in off-road motorcycle racing. So there's a lot for these racers to really want to, rehab and get back on the bike and come back and compete. So that we're excited. This is year one. Again, we've never gone through this,
Mhm.
but the storylines that we're already starting to talk about, and then of course when we get towards the end of our season, and as we go into Pro Motocross, and those points really start accumulating, and you're really starting to see an accurate picture.
Mhm.
It's really going to be neat to get there and see how things are shaping up. But I would say that right there, that this has been the biggest innovation in, our sport in 50 years. So to see where this could grow in 10 or even 20 years down the line is going to be pretty neat.
I love it. Are you comfortable unveiling how the script unfolds the rest of the season? Are you okay? Or do you wanna save that?
So yeah, no, the script,
Off air, you
we
can tell
have
me.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I
so
appreciate it.
silly. It's so silly. It's live sports. Like, man, I
Yeah.
can't even believe that came up in the NFL, right?
That's just
It
where we're
is
at in
just
society. That's
it is, and
Mhm.
people believe it.
Yep.
People believe it. Did you see Ryan Leaf's comment to it?
Mm-mm. I did not.
He's like, "Boy, I really got the crappy end of the stick, didn't I?" Like, wow, they must have really paid me good.
Yeah. Well, isn't that great too? We get to see, like, the funny, like, the humility side of athletes where they're, like, making fun of themselves, and they're just
Yes.
like or even teams being like, "I'm a Falcons guy." Like, that was a really rough script, like, the Falcons getting 28-3, and they're like, "This is what's" "What? That's our script?"
What?
Like yeah. Mhm. That
Yeah,
sounds awful.
seriously.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's all go for that. I'm good with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
28-3. We're just gonna blow it.
Mhm. That's what we're gonna do. Perfect. We'll end here. What are the good folks, can they look out for in Oakland this weekend? What's exciting? What are the biggest storylines heading into to this weekend? And Eli just breaking this rough streak for him, this rough weekend. He's gotta get that off his back, and,
Yes, he's gotta shake that off.
mhm,
Well, again, we have four points that separate um, the 450 class, and then this
mhm,
week we'll be back to the Western region.
yep,
So we'll be able to see Jet Lawrence again. He'll be back on the bike. Pierce Brown and others. So it's been a couple weeks since we've seen them. The Oakland round was supposed to be round two. We're calling
mhm,
it now our rescheduled round two here in week 7.
mhm,
But the Oakland round, that Ring Central Coliseum, it has such a unique floor plan that we
mhm,
can really build a unique track there. So we love going back to Oakland for the sense that we are able to build a really unique track there with the floor space. So, look for an exciting track this week. I definitely look for Eli, to shake off the dust and whatever, may have been ailing him in Tampa, but I definitely see him having a strong showing. And then the 250 class, it'll be neat, seeing if RJ Hampshire and others have an answer for Jet. A lot of people were predicting him to go undefeated. I don't think that'll happen. Not that he's not capable, but I certainly think that there are, some real other contenders in that class that, again, don't have the script.
Mm-hmm. They could shake things up. They don't know what they're doing. They're going in blind.
Shake things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, good luck this weekend. Keep up the great work. Supercross is growing and just a great product. And whether you're seeing it in person or on the road, we need to get you to Knoxville, where I am now. Like, we need to get y'all to Knoxville so I can go local. I could still make the trip to Nashville. Maybe I'll do that this year.
Well, you have an open invite you have an open invite to any race, but yeah,
Okay.
you've got two coming up. You got Nashville as well as Atlanta.
I do have Atlanta, the home, and that's the spot. But I'm an old head. I'm like, the Dome was so much better. It was more intense. Like, the Benz is huge and it looks like a spaceship, and it's I like the Benz, but it just there was something grimy and beautiful about the Georgia Dome, where it was just it felt more like the word is grimy. It felt I liked it more. It's like the old Yankee Stadium versus the new one. It's like Wrigley Field.
Yep.
Part of the appeal is that it's really old and kind of grimy. Like, that's part of the
Yep.
appeal.
No, and the Georgia Dome had so much history with our sport. That venue, off the top of my head, I'm not sure where that ranks in all-time races, but it's pretty high.
Yeah.
It is pretty high for sure. So no, I can see that. You're not the only one from the Georgia area that was their favorite. So no, it's understandable, and that was a great venue for us. This year we will be out at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
There you go.
If you haven't seen us out there yet,
I haven't.
Oh my goodness! You talk about a unique track that really allows us, a lot of space. I won't say it's a super motocross track because it is still more of a supercross track, but it really is, a space that we can really showcase what we can do with more space, which is, in NFL and Major League Baseball stadiums, we're always limited by the floor space. But there at Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's like, boy, the imagination comes out because there is plenty of room. So yeah, we've been there now for the past couple seasons. Yeah. So see, that'll be brand new for you. See,
that would be brand new for me. I like it.
So brand new. And then of course Nashville, super excited to get back to Nashville. We're on like an every other year with Nashville and with St. Louis. So it's an every year rotation for those two rounds. So yeah, thrilled to be back in Nashville as well. So you have no excuse, man. You can either head south, east, or you can head west, and you're going to run right into a great race.
I think I'd go west. Like, it's not as bad. Like, Atlanta's a sneaky haul now. Like, I'm not as close as people think, because I have family and friends who are like, just come back. I'm like, it's a 3.5 hour drive. It's not as close as you think it is. That's a commitment. Like, Nashville's like a little over 2. Like, it's not as bad. Like, I can Nashville in 1 day. Atlanta's not as close as it feels like. I get to Asheville in an hour. Like, it's just not East Tennessee. I love it. Smokies and all that. I love being here and being a ball. But
you're in a great location. Absolutely
gorgeous. Like, I got North Carolina an hour, Virginia, Bristol's an hour, in a lot of different directions. I'm pretty close to all the spots that I want to go to. Well, I might have to take you up on that, Nashville. Let's see some stuff. Like, I'll come through and we can do some coverage. Maybe a live pod. Who knows? The possibilities are endless, Sean.
They are endless. So yeah, live pod, that would be great. We have a media day on Friday, so lots of athletes to come out and interview, and then we could get you set up somewhere nice and comfortable. You can do a live podcast. That would be great.
There you go. All right. Well, Sean, thank you so much for making the time today. This was a blast. Great meeting you, and look forward to talking with you more this season. And you have yourself a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you so much. It was great visiting with you here today, and I look forward to seeing you at an upcoming race.
That's good, man. You're a good salesman. You're like, you got me in. I like it. Sean, thank you. Talk.